I've always imagined reality looked something like this. There are still the sounds of cars in the distance, sounds of farmers digging money out of the earth, transmuting wood and clay into energy. But there's no Wi-Fi signal. I'm not near any power lines. For the moment, an airline doesn't pass overhead in a crisscross grid. And I would walk here many times the last 20 years. And I go, oh yes, this is reality. This is the place that gave birth to me. This is the home you're meant to live in. I could pitch a tent and start a fire, but there'd be a little man in a high-vis jacket come along in his boat to inquire who you are. Did you know we're in an emergency? Even though we're neutral, the world wages war. And this natural peace goes on. The world is never that far away. Like the view in an aquarium. A slash in the sky, riding high above the sculpted cumulus clouds. What a natural sky looks like, obviously. It's really the city which is the sleepiest place. With everyone moving in unison, synchronization, by the chime of a city clock. While the ebb and flow here is one based on light and hunger, fertility, growth, fecundity. It's a lot easier to imagine ways of living in an open space. I mean, just imagine all the tower blocks that could enrich absentee landlords. Because progress is that thing which allows us not to feel the full terror of the future when psychopaths run amok, placing abstract monetary value upon natural, dynamic laws of nature. It's a place that if one had the patience to override the monkey mind, aches and pains of the skeleton frame housing the temple. If one could be still, would you awaken from this dream? Remember your name and why you came. It's even the ripple of the water. There's a greater force of gravity than your own consciousness. For you are a ripple moving through this landscape. Coming into contact with yourself. That which is greater than you. The confines of the ego. The thing that stops you falling over a rock and being snagged on a branch. That helps you normally avoid bumping into the furniture. The ego with its hand firmly on the rudder of the ship. Where the water meets, turns to twist again. For the water flows into a reservoir, so at least is in constant motion. Not completely dead in stillness, like an artificial lake. But beneath this water was a village in a valley that was flooded sometime, I don't know, 100 years ago or less. And now this is part of the water. It flows to Dublin. And Dublin is like a narrow little Lego town beside the sea. And here we are in the mountains. And it's only when you make that journey back and forth to Dublin you're reminded of the geography. That Dublin's this narrow strip of civilization on the coast, with everybody crammed into their little pods so miserable that one could only embrace metaverse. And you come this far, and the world opens up, and this small country feels like a vast space. And you sit and imagine something vaster, like Canada or Alaska. Though at least one doesn't have to worry about a bear sneaking up on philosophical rambling to remind you of the tooth and claw nature of this world. Walking up here, I disturbed masses of grazing ducks, wise to the sound of a snapping twig. But more than that, startling a whole herd of deer. A creature which is only a nuisance to the farmer, the estate owner, and those turning their fields into decorative gardens. But for the city dweller, something truly remarkable to see such large mammals in existence. A banal observation to make, but a reminder that there is still a level of wildness to the land. When all we see are the sculpted form of poodle play in suburbia by the sea. Dogs carried on the breast like substitute children. Before even their warm, furry heart is made redundant by robot toys. Because imagine how much environmental damage owning a dog does. And shouldn't you feel guilty? Because what the natural world gives you is freedom from ideology and all reality tunnels. Because what you project on this landscape will only get you killed. Whatever psychotic machinations you proclaim, you'll still get cold and wet and hungry. Would you even go for a walk without a Swiss Army knife? Never mind a plastic encased confectionery. And would you look upon this landscape and wish to join the children of Lear in their curse? Because sometimes we can be jealous of living in pure instinct, to be free of a higher mind which is so highly polluted, the most polluted thing on this planet, the higher functions of our consciousness and spiritual realization. For those who are not asleep, realize this is a war on consciousness. And there, our exile from nature places us on an endless conveyor belt, always attempting to process us into the future as compliant organic technology, bridging the gap between the organic mind and the algorithms of artificial intelligence. The insane belief that if you chip a human, you will provide a conduit and influence upon the endless flow of information. And thus, the thinking is the AI won't commit genocide upon the human race, because the human race will be combined into that technology. to influence and nudge it. But they are all insane, and they shall destroy themselves. The question is how much damage they will do to us. But we have realized, as being free and sovereign, that we ourselves are a force, a gravitational force interacting in this reality. And we draw towards us what we are as a pure reflection, a law of reflection and refraction. That this reality is a place of co-creation. We are not God, but we remember it is a seed sleeping in our heart to awaken in this world. And we are like some microcosm of the cosmic egg, designed to give birth to the memory of our spirit in this world before being recycled into the next. Because those who misunderstand the pop culture view of reincarnation is the idea of you could return as an animal, a bird, a duck, an insect, a frog, a dog. But I don't think we're meant to be going down an evolutionary ladder of consciousness. Because in some sense you can look on the natural world and be jealous of creatures living in full instinct of fight and flight. Without ego, our mind lost in war. Of who we are, so tortured by this society. But our higher consciousness is a gift. It is like being gifted as a birthright, a super duper quantum computer that interacts in a fusion of consciousness and matter. But this gift was given to us without any instruction manual. And the people who do have the instruction manuals aren't sharing and aren't even telling us it exists, from being indoctrinated and processed through school systems designed to teach you to sit still at a desk. And pity the youth now who are drugged for their boisterous behavior, with far worse fates for being born to fully programmed parents. All the atrocities done in the name of progress. How did so many generations grow up without watching Dr. Zhivago on a Christmas afternoon? Maybe it was too long and boring. If you watched something like Indiana Jones to give you an adventurous thrill while programming you with the appropriate information about who to hate historically. So many lies, and people only consuming headlines. People too cowardly to realize how much more honest they would be to say, I don't know. Let me research it. Let me look into it about these historical, political divides and divisions. Why don't you say you don't know, rather than repeat a headline? Are you so fearful to step 1 millimeter outside of the herd? Because the herd may have evolved to keep you safe and warm. But if you can't see what it is now, you are a part of a mass cult committing suicide. And it will only be the free-thinking individual who walks through the valley of death, their eyes on the horizon of the future, not looking left, not looking right, not looking behind them lest they turn to salt. Because the mind is a labyrinth, a place to become lost in ideas, ideologies, reality tunnels. But once you allow the labyrinth to dissolve, there is an open landscape to walk in front of you. A place where your heart's desires lay open to be birthed, seeds to be planted, and homes to be built, harmony to be found, and choices made from wisdom. And wisdom is but pain transmuted from experience. Wisdom, something hard won through all the horror of the sociopathic systems that you have passed through for the fact of being born in this world at this time, where everything is against you waking up. But still, for realizing this much, though much is still hiding in shadows, for the light you have shined on shadows and dispersed the fractures of your mind and consciousness. That which you have brought back into the light in your own personal restoration is a prize won back from the system. Because they want your consciousness deeply fragmented. For all the traumas experienced in this sociopathic culture, the inner magic has survived. And being able to look upon possibility, an open world, For everything in the media is a shrinking world, a confining world, a dangerous and fearful, confusing world. And the tools that are presented to you to navigate this world are but invisible chains upon you. For you are being told you are nothing more than a serf, and the technocratic systems are far too complex for you to understand. So trust your betters, white-coated technocratic priests of Armageddon, and pity them, for they know not what they do. Natural law shall crush their bones. But in the meantime, we remember the magic of this world. For the well-trodden paths that are laid before you are roads to an early grave, unhappiness and despair. The road less taken. Is a world forming around a fractal, expanding from your heart. For all the trauma that was given to you, you were presented with paths of disassociation. Alcohol, drugs, violence, synthetic horrors, mass media, the endless confusion of babbling voices. Society is happy for you to commit suicide slowly or quickly. Choose your poison: alcohol, crack, heroin, video games, whatever it is. It draws your consciousness to further fragmentation, splintering of the soul, so you may never form the full power of mind, body and heart as one, giving birth to the spirit in this world before the next. The restoration and reformation of your soul and consciousness is your task. The great adventure is set before you. The one where all pain is looked in the eye, undissolved, and all power is restored to you. And then you act upon the stage of life with the full force of your will, operating in harmony from a place of wisdom. A unified self becomes an unstoppable force of momentum, drawing life towards you as you become a greater force of gravity than the sick society around you. Don't ever doubt how sick the society is, how dysfunctional, how sociopathic, how traumatized it is in all its most banal operations, where we live in villages of strangers with unknown neighbors, watching the same globalist information gradually eroding us, attempting to kill us with 1,000 small cuts to our soul, attempting to leave a gash for the horror to seep in. For when you are free of it, remembering the most important thing in this world is what you give your attention to, how precious you are, and the harmony of your physical temple is. Remembering to treat yourself with the utmost respect. To embrace all golden ratios and rules as you walk through an open land and offer an open hand in respect to those you meet. For an open hand is a hand free of a weapon or in an agenda made in the contracts of secret handshakes and the wink of an eye. To throw it all away, to let it burn away for the sovereign individual, to make contact with the other sovereign individuals who live in parallel. You have remembered, despite everything, who they are. They are the chosen people, the chosen generations. The ones who will live in the lost valley, while artificial worlds smolder on the horizon. And if all you had to talk to was a dozing duck, a gaggle of geese, the children of Lear, if all there was a horizon of forests, the sleeping shapes of the landscape, that which is watching you. A distant shore, a natural place. And would you live here in cold air and water? A place to light a fire and burn the energy of the natural world. Transmute energy into heat to remake quiet places into homes with heat and everything alive. In wonder, the abundant diversity of a living place. For all that is overlaid upon it is the product of the mind, a disassociated, traumatized mind, looking in wonder upon all those creatures who naturally know the rhythms of the lake, currents, light, a force greater than times on a clock, a time to hunt, a time to feed, a time to procreate, a time to nest. And we stand on the verge of winter, with the sun still warm upon the skin. And every day that is given us is another new day for the world to begin. That which can be built harmoniously in this world, from breakfast to bedtime, before the land of dreams. Reminds us of the frequencies of this reality, of what we pass through. And oh, how we dream of finding a permanent place, a base camp to create and for all that we may claim to project upon the world. The truth is that which contradicts no natural law. And for man and woman to act upon the stage of life as your birthright. For what we look at synthetically is the magical theatre of the absurd, a stage show inside Plato's cave, amusing you to death, so your soul may atrophy and rot in this world, processing nothing, so remaining in constant fear of phantoms, because you must do the work of reclaiming your mind and soul from synthetic disassociations. For this world is yours. For your soul is yours. Your mind is yours. And your body is yours. And this is the hill to die on for the sovereign soul, remembering the profundity and responsibility of their free will, fully incorporated into the informational and energetic field that flow all around you and all that you interact with, both natural and synthetic. Your birthright is to be a warrior, for there are fates worse than death, to bend the knee to any man or man-made institution. You fly far beyond these. These absurd mouse trips. Mouse tripping traps all around you. Because if anything can make you laugh, it is the thought that age-old question has been answered. In our experiences of the last few years, are you a man or a mouse? And how funny it is to see how many people answered that question for themselves. Because if you know you are a man or a womb man, then you're half the way there. Now, all you need to do is walk forward, to keep on going. This is your land and your home and your birthright to interact with it as a part of it and as a part of nature that has become self-aware, an opportunity for God to experience all things from all points of view and all possibilities. So all you need to do is choose growth, love, abundance, to employ all hard-earned wisdom. For everything being synthetically whispered in your ears is to be a powerless victim, lost in a scorecard of victimhood. And we are so much greater than all these broadcast limitations. The best thing to do is to laugh at all absurdities, because those who take the absurdities seriously are the ones who commit atrocities. But for every dark fate that befalls a collective, there was always an individual who walked unscathed through the streets of Pompeii, or the Great Fire of London, or the freezing ruins of Stalingrad. The individual survives by following the way, wisdom, creativity, action made upon thought and emotion, never fear or doubt, or the adoption of synthetic algorithms forming a prison around your mind and body. All you need to do is walk away, and all that is yours is coming towards you.